Hi, this is Irene Angod Agnell, and I'm in the heart of West London. If you're a busy or remote parent with a child living or working or studying in London, and you're thinking about buying them a London home or helping them to get their first home in London, then I have created something specifically for you. Um, and I'm so excited to share with you my knowledge model in a free guide designed specifically for parents who are thinking about helping their adult child to buy their first London home. And the knowledge model and the entire guide will give you information to help you to navigate the purchasing process and the background that you need to be able to approach it with the clarity and confidence that you need. So let's head straight over into the knowledge model. So, this is my knowledge model. And in the last year or so, I've spoken to many parents who are very uh, concerned about helping their child to get accommodation in London. Maybe they're helping them to rent a property, but they're also noticing that rental prices are increasing massively so. And so many are considering also buying a property. Or a home where their child can feel safe, or helping their child to buy a property for themselves. So, either way, which way you look at it, this guide has been designed to cover some of the key questions, and it is structured around the knowledge model which I created to help parents to consider certain questions and in which order when they go about helping their child to buy a London home. First of all, you need the know-how about how the British legal ownership um, works in this country. You know, you've got freehold, you've got leasehold, you've got ground rents and service charges. And you need to know how the ownership structure works and also about how the purchasing process works. That's called the conveyancing process. And my guide gives a quick overview for that. And when you purchase a property, you need support from professionals on the ground. And this is where you have a network or a team of professionals, and I can indeed help to introduce my clients to valued professionals who I know will do a great job, such as solicitors, brokers, or accountants. Um, there's a whole raft of different teams that you need. And one of the most important team members is the solicitor and the accountant at the outset when you help to determine in which ownership structure should you buy the property. Are you buying it for yourself in your own name or in a limited company? Or will the property be put in the child's name? Um, or indeed, would there be a mixed ownership where it's partly in the child's name, partly in an entity or in your name? And depending on what you select, there are different tax implications, but also risks to consider. And this guide will give you an initial overview to help you to make your own decisions and to ask the questions from the tax advisors who are qualified to be able to advise you in this area. And with this, you need to, of course, consider how much of your own wealth are you contributing to the purchase? Are you providing the entire sum to help your child buy? Or would you like them to contribute a bit of it? Maybe they have some of their own savings that they would like to use. Or indeed, if they're working, they might be able to raise a mortgage in their own name. And when it comes to lending and mortgages, which is the L in the knowledge model, an FCA regulated broker can help you to explore your options. And it might be a bit more complicated if you do live abroad, but my power team and people who I can introduce you to are specialized in helping remote investors to get bank lending in the UK, or indeed to really tailor the lending to your circumstances. Once you know your budget and all of these aspects we've been discussing, you can then look at where do you want to buy. I focus on helping busy and remote investors and parents or buyers to buy in West London. And some people want to buy in prime central London or maybe close to the university where their child is studying. Um, and it really depends on personal preference and the budget that you have. But I do help you to assess the area depending on where the opportunities are great right now. Maybe if prices have dropped significantly, it can be a great entry point. But you also need to consider that the area needs to be safe, with low crime, and remain so over many decades so that your child can feel like it's not only a safe home, but also a great, rental property maybe later on. Um, so it is very much down to your personal preferences, but considering aspects such as safety, transportation, and other preferences that you might have. Throughout the entire purchase process, it's very important to do the right due diligence and to make sure that you're removing as much risk from the entire process as possible. According to the UK system, the risk in the transaction falls upon the buyer. So it's incredibly important to do the right due diligence, and where possible, and if you prefer, to use professionals to do that due diligence for you. Maybe a home buyer report or a valuation report to make sure that the property you're buying, you know what a RICS valuation report would be for that, but also I can help with that due diligence. And my de-risk model looks at all of this. One of the biggest risks in buying a property is that the estate agent, who might appear very helpful, appears to be supporting you very much, but the reality is that they are actually working for the seller and looking to get the best possible price. And so it's important to have someone on your side of the process to help you know which pointed questions to ask, and to make sure that you really know what you're buying before you do it, and that all aspects of the property purchase are as de-risked as possible. Then in the final model here, we have the gain, which is another way of saying rental income. So if you are buying a property, I always recommend try to make sure that you have a few spare bedrooms or extra room if you can. So there's an opportunity to maybe let a few extra rooms to get rental income. This is very, very normal in Britain and in London society, and is something that young people prefer to do when they do arrive in the country. It gives them friendship and community and a sort of family here in London, where they can rent rooms to trusted friends, maybe university friends who they're studying with. And this means that not only would you gain from the long-term capital gains from the property, but your child, or indeed you yourself, would be making some rental income from the property. And this aspect leads very well into something that I strongly believe in, which is buying a property that has long-term flexibility, where you can really you can live in it or use it no matter what time you're in. So for now, you maybe want it as a first London home, but it might be also a property where you're not renting extra rooms in the future, but it could be a first family home if your child marries, and this could be a place where they could start their married life, or indeed it could be an asset that your child keeps in a marriage and lets out for extra income, and maybe to hold for future generations. And I'm a big, big believer in holding property long term. This is not a short term purchase. And by holding it long term, you're able to benefit from the capital gains, especially um, it's a benefit for the child if the property is purchased in their own name. Then there is likely to be lower stamp duty fees, as it would be their first property purchased, but also they would be personally gaining from a long-term capital gain as long as it's their main residence here in London. And it is, as many of you have heard me say, since 1970, in the last 55 years, prices in London, West London, have 100-fold. They used to be £5,000 for the average property home. Now it's over £500,000. Um, Obviously, this varies depending on where you live, but it is something that is a very good long-term and solid investment that can help you and your family to prosper and live well for generations. So if you're interested to get the full guide and more detail and flesh for each of these areas, then download the guide, and also just get in touch if you think that I could help you, or maybe if you have a friend or someone you know who's looking to buy a property for an adult child in London, or to help them to get on the property ladder, then do direct them to me, and I hope I might be able to help you. Many thanks. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.